كنت ميتا في بحور الغي والإثم غريقا.
الحمد لله رب العالمين، صلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا، انفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. بشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي رب زدني علما. Last time we had started the discussion of wudu. We had mentioned that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the ayah of the Quran, He mentions يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق وامسحوا برؤوسكم وأرجلكم إلى الكعبين. Surah Ma'idah, ayah number 6. And the fuqaha, they derive from this ayah that there are 4 rukun or 4 fara'id of wudu. And without these fara'id, wudu is not complete. And according to the Ahnaf, they say that washing the face once, washing 1/4 of the head, doing masah of 1/4 of the head, washing the 2 feet, and washing the 2 arms. Obviously, in order, the fara'id will be that a person will wash his arms, then he will wash his face, and then he will do masah, and then he will wash his feet. Again, the sunnah method, obviously, if a person starts with his hands, right? And we will go into what is the sunnah and the mustahab of wudu. Number 2 point that was made very clear was that fuqaha mentioned that nothing should be in the way. For example, when I'm washing my hands or my feet, and there's something on it, for example, like paint or something of the sort, it should be removed. Nothing should prevent water from reaching every single portion of that fard limb. And the fuqaha mentioned for this wudu to be wajib upon a person, there are a few conditions. Obviously, number 1, as we mentioned over and over, every mas'ala of the sharia applies only to a Muslim. And after a person is found to be a Muslim, he must be baligh. He must have bulugh, he must have reached puberty, mature. Number 3, he must be sane, he must have aql in him. And then the fuqaha mentioned that the 4th condition for wudu is that the person has the ability to use water. What does that mean? One situation could be that he's very sick, and if the doctor has told him that if he uses water, this will worsen his condition, whatever it may be. Another scenario is that you're in an area or you're in a town and your situation is such that the enemy has cut off your water and they're hoarding their water. For example, like our brothers and sisters in Palestine and Gaza. There was a fatwa that came, a question came to the Shaykh. It was from one of the people fighting the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, Shaykh, at night time, I'm in my boots and my gear, and the water has been cut off. And even if I find water, it's so cold that I fear that my feet will fall off. So what's the hukum for me? Right? The Shaykh was crying and he's saying, if only I was in your position, fighting for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But for you, the hukum is what? Tayammum. Right? So the 4th condition for wudu is the qudra ala istimali, that a person has the ability to use water. The next condition that he mentions is that if a person wants to, for example, like we mentioned last week, a person wants to touch the Quran, he needs wudu. The Ahnaf mentioned he needs wudu. So in the scenario, if a person needs to take a shower because he's in the halat of janaba, he's a junubi, he requires fard ghusl, then that wudu will not suffice for him, obviously. He will have to do ghusl, and then he could do wudu, or the ghusl would suffice for him according to the Ahnaf to touch the Quran. Another furu'i mas'ala connected to wudu is that a person people who have beards, who keep beards, according to the sunnah sometimes, becomes very thick. So the fuqaha mentioned that if a beard is very thick, then a person should not go and worry and try to do masah of every single hair on the face. He doesn't have to take a bucket and wash his whole face like it's drenching. Rather, he passes water, and as long as the water reaches the skin or inside, that will suffice his wudu. He does not have to make sure that the hairs are hanging. They have to be wet also completely. Another mas'ala is, for example, if a person is wearing a ring. Many brothers nowadays, after they get married, they wear rings. Or another type of ring that many people wear. If it's very tight and there's a chance that water won't get through, so the fuqaha mentioned that he should move it around. Or any other, many times today, unfortunately, some brothers wear bracelets. I don't know what the reason is, but brothers wear rubber bracelets and it's a fashion of sort. Allahumma hafadna, right? If so, if there's something like that, make sure that when they do wudu, they move it around, make sure the water goes under it. Now, what is a sunnah method of doing wudu? From A to Z. Number one, before a person starts wudu, he should make niyyah. Now, over here, some people, they become a fanatic and they become an extremist and they say that I did not utter it with my words completely. Many brothers go as far as saying that I'm sitting in front of facing towards the Kaaba, sitting over here in this bathroom in the second stall and about to wash my, and they go so much detail for no reason, right? Niyyah is, as long as person that have to pray salah, have to go make wudu, that is sufficient for him. Same goes for the salah. Many people, when they make a fard upon themselves, that they stand in the saf and they stand there for 3 minutes saying a whole speech before they start the salah. This is not necessary, right? This is going towards fanaticism and extremism. Niyat, simple niyat is sunnah before wudu. Number two, the fuqaha mentioned our person should say Bismillah, and then he should wash his two hands until his wrist first, right? And the sunnah method is obviously 3 times. Person should do this 3 times. After that, if he has the ability, Allah gives him the tawfiq, he should do miswak. He should use the siwak and he should use it. There's great fadila, we mentioned over in our last week in the Jummah khutbah. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, لَوْلَا أَنَ أَشُقَّ عَلَىٰ أُمَّتِي لَأَمَرْتُهُم بِالسِّوَاكِ. That if I had not the fear of making it fard upon the people, I would have made it compulsory, making it haraj, making it difficult, I would have made it compulsory upon the people to do miswak. And the famous hadith, السِّوَاكُ مَطْهَرَةٌ لِلْفَمِ وَمَرْضَاتٌ لِلرَّبِّ. That the siwak is a source of cleanliness, purity for your mouth, and as a source of pleasure of your Rabb and your Lord. So if a person has, he can do miswak. Another point to mention over here is mentioned in Hidayah, a famous book of the Ahnaf, the Fiqh, that the Musannif over there, he writes that if a person doesn't have miswak, he can use his finger and he will get the reward of purifying his teeth, right? He won't get the reward of the miswak itself, but if he just uses his finger and rubs his teeth while going in order after washing his hands and after washing his hands until the wrist, he uses his finger as the intention of purifying his teeth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward him for that also. After that is to do madmada, right? And istinshaq, to pass water, to put water in the mouth, to put water into the nose. This is part of the sunnah. And if a person is not fasting, he should try to really make sure that the water goes up there, right? In the nose, in the mouth, he really switches around. Point to mention over here is many times, people go extreme over here too, especially youngsters when they're learning how to wudu, and they put it so deep that the water goes to their brain and they have red eyes and they have headaches, right? Just make sure that the nose is clean completely. And the point that he mentioned over here is very important. Many times when we're in the habit of doing wudu like this, Ramadan comes or you're fasting, so a person should be mindful of when he's doing this, the water doesn't go into his throat, right? Because if he's forcefully, deliberately putting water in his throat, that is, he's putting his fast in danger and he's breaking his fast. After that, what is a person supposed to do? Make sure that every single limb that he's going to wash after, wash it 3 times. Adhere to the sunnah, wash it 3 times. And then, after madmada and istinshaq, he says that a person should do masah of the head once, the complete head once, right? Just because it's fard, 1/4, does that mean I should go quickly and just go like that and just leave, right? According to the other imam, for example, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahimahullah, he says it's fard. That the whole head of masah is fard. This is necessary for wudu. So a person should do, the sunnah is to do the whole head. And then after that he mentions to do masah of the ears, inside and outside, right? Easy to put your hands inside like this, and the outside, just making sure that water touches the ear. And then after that he says to do khilal of the lihya. If a person has a beard, then he should do khilal of his lihya and the khilal of his fingers, right? Making sure there's no dirt there, making sure the water reaches there. And then he mentions a very important point. He says to make sure that the person does wudu in such a manner that he completes it without the previous limb drying. So he should do it one after the other. It should not be such that I'm doing wudu and I'm talking, I wash my hands and I go do something, and I come back and I do my arms, and I come back so this is khilaf sunnah. A person should complete his wudu once he started, complete from A to Z, complete it without any limbs drying. Now, the next point is to make sure that the tartib is adhered to, right? This was a question last week. Is it necessary to follow the tartib? So according to the Ahnaf, we say that the tartib, meaning washing the hands first, then the face, then madmada, then masah, then feet last. This order is sunnah to follow that according to the Ahnaf. But according to the other imam, they make it compulsory and they say that a person must follow tartib and in his wudu. They consider it as one of the obligatory. So for this reason, it is the opinion of other imam, we should make sure that we follow the tartib when we're washing. And then he mentions that that a person when he, this is a point many people they fall into the misconception that when we do masah of the neck, right? Many a times people think that I have to do masah on my neck and go all the way down here completely. So there's two calls over here. Number one, even within the Ahnaf, many big scholars, they say that even doing masah of the neck is not thabit to the sunnah. They say when a person does wudu, he shouldn't do masah of the neck. This is not thabit to sunnah. Even within the Ahnaf, many big scholars of great caliber, they say this is not established. Even those who say it's established, nobody says that a person should go like this. It's a habit. Many times we do masah, and we go and we come back to the hulqum. This is called the hulqum, all the way to the sides. This is a bid'ah, right? This is a bid'ah. This is not thabit to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam or the Sahaba that we do masah of the nape like this, going all the way down. If a person is doing so, just the back of the neck, nothing more. But even this, as I mentioned, even within the Ahnaf, many big scholars, they have the opinion that this is not established to the sunnah. The adab of wudu, that a person should sit down in the wudu. A person should sit down in wudu. I know sometimes when we're in our homes and many other places, it's not possible. So this is not a fard compulsory thing. It is best, especially when the masajid are made and you've seen that the way that the place of wudu is separate many times from the sink and the bathrooms. Why? Because Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would try to sit and do wudu. And another benefit of this is that many a time if the wudu place is made in such a way according to the sunnah, then the splashes of ma'i musta'mal. Remember what ma'i musta'mal was? That water which has already been passed on the limbs for wudu, that water is not ma'i musta'mal. So the splashes of that ma'i musta'mal don't come back on the body, right? Number two, they mentioned that from the adab of wudu is to face the qibla. Again, these are the adab and mustahabbat, right? This is not fard. We should not make it fard upon ourselves. But if it's possible, to face the qibla when doing wudu. Number three, we should not take help from someone else. We should do wudu ourselves. Take the water, pour it ourselves if you're outside somewhere. Obviously, in the sink, a person can do himself. Number four, very important. From the adab of wudu is that a person should not talk. This is very common, right? We're in the wudu khana and we're talking to the next person. How are you doing? How's the business? How's the wife? And we're completely. Wudu is a form of ibadah also, right? I'm not saying it's haram. I'm just saying this is from the adab and the sunnah of wudu that person stays quiet and he completes his wudu. Number five, he should, rather than talking, he should engage himself with the dua, the du'as that have come in the ahadith from Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. There's many du'as that you can find to doing the wudu, starting wudu, after wudu, right? Number six, that he reads Bismillah every time he's doing a new limb, right? Just to keep himself busy with the dua. Number six, he mentions that he enters his fingers into the ears. You know, when you do masah of the ears, the Musannif over here mentions that a person should enter his finger into the ears to make sure that the whole ear becomes wet. And then he mentions that, obviously, the last point, when a person is doing any filth, for example, from the nose or anything else from the mouth, he should make sure that he uses his left finger or his left pinky to remove the dirt. He should not. It is better for a person to use his left hand for anything that is filth, whether it's istinja, whether it's cleaning the nose, whether it's cleaning the mouth. It is better for that person to use his left finger. And from the makruhat of wudu, inshallah, I'll end off soon. Number one, very important. This is a question yesterday too. What is our habit, especially when we come to the masjid? I'm not making a water bill, so I blast the water. Both taps are fully on. It's like a water hose, fire hydrant running, right? And the person standing there and he's washing one limb at a time, taking his time, and the water is just pouring, right? This is israf. This is makruh, and it's a person involving himself in something which is not right. He's doing israf of water, and a person doesn't do it. When he has to pay the bill, he takes care of the water, and he yells at the family members, "Don't turn on the light, don't waste the AC, don't waste the water." Right? But when it's not my money, when it's not, I don't have to pay for it, then that goes out the door. Right? So israf is against the makruhat. Number one. The second one is the other extreme. There's some people who have waham and they have a disease, mental disease. That I remember there was a brother who used to come to masjid. Allah forgive us. He used to bring a measuring cup with him. He used to bring a measuring cup from home, and he would measure the water and he put drops on himself, exactly how much I need. Right? This is another extreme. May Allah forgive us. May Allah protect us. Right? So he says to two extremes. Number one, israf. Number two, to use so less that you're not doing wudu properly. Right? Number three is to slap the water into the face. Or in the Pakistan, your brothers sometimes they do this. You start to make wudu, all you hear is like slapping their face completely. This is okay. That's why he mentioned this, because he's from the Indo-Pak area, and this is very common. Maybe you know better than me, but people like this because they have this fear in them that my wudu is not being done properly. The water is not getting there, right? I have to slap my face so the water gets everywhere. This is not necessary. Slowly put the water in and wipe your face. Inshallah, we'll get there. Number four, he mentions again not to talk to other people. Number five, again, not to take help from other people, except if the person is sick and he needs the help of someone else. Then there's no haraj. This will not be disliked if a person takes help from someone else. And he mentions the last point of the makruhat is that, for example, I have washed a limb 3 times, right? This is a sunnah. This is also another going to the other extreme. People who have wahm, people who have this disease, they wash one limb 10 times. And I will tell you honestly, back home, for example, in the park area, we have, in the houses, we have tankers, right? The truck comes every day and they pour the water into the tank. So we have some brothers, na'udhu billah, they finish that whole tank in one day. Why? Because the brother, he stays in the bathroom for an hour making wudu. He washes each limb 10, 20 times. Why? Because he thinks that my wudu is not complete. So the fuqaha and the ulama mentioned this, that a person, if he has this disease and you can talk to him, or if he's a teacher, or if it's your parent, or if it's your child, should explain that we're mukallaf of following the sunnah. It's okay. If after 3 times you still feel like your wudu is not complete, inshallah it will be complete. Just go pray, right? This is the ilaj and this is the treatment for such a person, right? So he mentions that this goes into israf. To wash any limb more than 3 times for no reason. Wash it 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So this will be something which is disliked. I make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He allows all of us to act on what has been said. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله بالعالمين.
كنت ميتا في بحور الغي والإثم غريقا كنت عابدا في قيود الذنب مملوكا رقيقا مد لي الشيطان من أسبابه حبلا وثيقا منكرات كنت آتيها غروبا وشروقا كنت ميتا في بحور الغي والإثم غريقا